Hi there, this is Tata, and welcome to the Wrestling Time Post Show. And for tonight, I will be reviewing a Survivor Series. Alright, so tonight's pay-per-view only had 5 matches. And honestly, this men's WarGames match was the match I was looking forward to the most out of any of these matches. And it did not disappoint. Sure, the match didn't have big spots or anybody jumping off a cage. But that's not what this match was about. It was about the storyline going on between Sami Zayn and the Bloodline, Sami Zayn and Jey Uso. So if you guys remember last night on Friday Night SmackDown, Jey eavesdropped on Sami Zayn talking to KO. And Sami Zayn pretty much lied to Jey, saying that he wasn't talking to anybody. And throughout the whole night, we had backstage segments. You had Jey Uso telling Roman that he knew from day one Zayn couldn't be trusted, and he blamed Sami Zayn for not winning the advantage tonight. And Roman tells Jey that he's going to be the right-hand man, and that Roman's going to be the tribal chief, and Roman will look Zayn straight into the eyes and figure out where his loyalty lies. So then he asks Paul Heyman to bring him Sami Zayn. That's the first segment. Later on in the night, we get a Sami Zayn segment where Roman asks Sami if he was talking to KO. Of course, to Roman, Sami Zayn admits the truth. He admits that he was talking to KO, and he says the only reason he lied to Jey, or should I say withheld the information, was because he didn't want to put that on Jey's plate before his match. He said, Sami goes on to say that he didn't talk to Owens, he just stood there and listened. And Roman said that he understands KO was his friend, but he needs Sami to understand that this is his family, his blood. And he looks Sami in the eyes. And Sami says that there's only 5 people allowed to walk into a locker room. And it means the world to him that he can be one of those 5 people to enter the Bloodline locker room. Sami reassures Roman that he is with the Bloodline. And Roman asks Sami to stand up. Roman hugs Sami, but then he makes a face, kind of like he doesn't trust Sami. So then when we get to the men's WarGame match, which was the Bloodline versus the Brawling Brutes, Drew McIntyre and Kevin Owens, Jey starts the match. He starts off the match for his team against Butch. And I have to say, I really like that the Bloodline was wearing matching attire here, black and red. You know, at some point before the match even starts, you have Solo Sikoa staring at the opposing team. So anywho, okay, so Jey starts the match off for the Bloodline. When the Bloodline is going to send a second person into the match, Jimmy was going to get ready to enter. But Roman stops Jimmy and instead sends Sami Zayn. And Sami was just like slowly making his way to the ring. And the crowd starts to chant for Sami Uso. I really like the fact that at first, Jey and Sami are working together in this match. But then they start arguing mid-match. And this arguing allows Ridge Holland to take the advantage and take them both out. Now, Sami Zayn ends up saving Jey from Drew McIntyre. When Kevin Owens finally does enter this match, that is when things get interesting because you have Sami Zayn and KO. They have this moment where they have a face-to-face, and that gets interrupted when Ridge Holland goes after Sami Zayn. So Sami, of course, he spends this match trying to prove his loyalty to Roman Reigns. He goes after Butch in front of Roman. There's this one spot where Jey is attempting to do a super kick, and Butch ducks, and he catches Sami Zayn with that super kick. Kind of begs the question if Jey did that on purpose. So once Roman enters the match, and he is the last one to enter, no surprise there, Kevin Owens super kicks him and then gives him a power bomb. And it looks like Kevin Owens is going to win this match for his team. But what ends up happening is Sami Zayn stops the referee. He literally grabs the ref and stops the ref from counting the 1, 2, 3. And Kevin Owens is just looking at Sami Zayn. They told this story through the facial expressions and the staring. KO and Sami Zayn have another face-to-face, and Jey Uso attempts a super kick. Kevin Owens catches it, And Sami Zayn gives Kevin Owens a low blow. After the low blow, Sami Zayn gives KO a haluva kick. Sami Zayn catches KO, and you have this moment where KO is just on Sami Zayn. He's holding him, and he throws him into Jay. And Jay does a splash to KO, and he pretty much sacrifices Kevin Owens to Jey Uso. This allows the Bloodline to be victorious. Now, this was such great storytelling. It was great storytelling because Sami Zayn, despite the fact that he wants the Bloodline to acknowledge him and to respect him, he looked conflicted in this match and with this decision. He looked so conflicted. It looked like he didn't want to hurt KO. And that is storytelling at its finest. He sold this story with his face, with those facial expressions. So at the end of the match, we have Roman hugging Sami. Then Jimmy hugs Sami. And Jey Uso finally hugs Sami. And as the Bloodline is celebrating, you can see Sami Zayn looking back at KO. He keeps looking back at him. I could tell Sami struggled with his decision to sacrifice KO to the Bloodline, but that was an incredible story. And wow, I'm just amazed. Storytelling at its finest. And we got to give props to Sami Zayn. He is doing his role really well. And unfortunately, I think the Bloodline's going to turn on Sami. Sooner or later, he's going to turn on Sami Zayn. And they're going to turn Sami Zayn into the biggest babyface on planet Earth. The Elimination Chamber is in Sami Zayn's hometown of Montreal, Quebec, Canada. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with Sami Zayn in the Elimination Chamber and how this all plays out. But wow, what an amazing storyline. Honestly, I really love that ending. Sami Zayn did his job well, and he looked conflicted. But on the plus side, he finally proved his loyalty to the Bloodline. So there's that. And now we got to move forward. And Kevin Owens is probably going to be pissed at Sami Zayn for that. But with that being said, let's kick this review off. Alright, so Survivor Series opened with the women's WarGame match. It was Team Damage Control, Nikki Cross, Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss, Asuka, and Mia Yim and Becky Lynch. So Bianca started the match off for her team, and Dakota Kai started the match off for her team. Now, Bianca proving her strength by doing the waist lock takedown to Dakota Kai and then doing a vertical suplex. Then Io Sky entered the WarGames match. This was both her and Dakota Kai entering their fourth WarGames matches. Now, Damage Control had won the advantage on Raw. But Bianca once again continued to show her strength when she did that double suplex to Dakota Kai and Io Sky. Then we got Asuka entering the match. And I really love that spot that Io Sky and Asuka had during this match. Because I think we all want to see a singles match between Asuka and Io. So Nikki Cross is next up for her team. And before she enters, she's taking out weapons. She had kendo sticks, trash cans, lids. As she hit Asuka with the cage door. And then the crowd starts chanting for tables. I really like Nikki Cross whacking Asuka and Bianca with her coat. That tornado DDT to Bianca by Nikki Cross was pretty cool. When Alexa Bliss enters a WarGames match, she goes right after Nikki Cross's dropkick. That bulldog onto the trash can lid to Io Sky by Asuka was a pretty cool spot. I really like that double team that Dakota Kai and Io Sky did to Bianca when they whacked her with those kendo sticks. Nikki Cross, being Nikki Cross, climbed the top of the cage and she took everybody out with a crossbody. Then Bayley entered the match and she brought in 2 ladders and a table. Damage Control had pinned Bianca in between the table and the cage. That assisted moonsault to Alexa Bliss by Io Sky was amazing. There was a lot of cool spots in this match. And I honestly really enjoyed this women's WarGames match. You had Mia with the superplex to Dakota Kai into the trash can. And then all the women went down. Rhea Ripley entered last for her team. and she German suplexed Bianca. Becky Lynch, a returning Becky Lynch, she returned last night on SmackDown, entered last for her team. One of the spots I liked in this match was when Bayley caught Mia Yim and then Io Sky whacked her head with the trash can lid. I really liked that Rhea and Becky had that face-to-face. Asuka spitting the mist to Rhea. Another spot that I liked was that moonsault that Io Sky did from the top of the cage to Bianca and to Mia. Now, Nikki Cross attempted to handcuff Alexa Bliss, and she told her, "You think I forgot," which is when Alexa Bliss turned her back on Nikki Cross. There was this one spot where it looked like they were going to do this giant suplex with everybody from the cage, but they didn't do that spot. So I was kind of disappointed I didn't see that spot. Now, Bianca hit a KOD to Bayley onto the cage. Becky climbed the cage and she did a leg drop from the top of the cage, Dakota Kai and Io Sky. And so Team Bianca ended up winning this. So amazing match. Really liked the match. It was a great way to open Survivor Series. And honestly, it did not disappoint. I was really happy with this match. And so after this is when we get the first Bloodline segment of the night. I talked about this briefly at the beginning, but I'll just go ahead and recap it for anybody. So this segment was Jay telling Roman Reigns that he knew Sami Zayn could not be trusted. And he blamed him for the Bloodline not having the advantage in tonight's WarGames match. And Roman tells Jey Uso to be his right-hand man, and he's going to look straight into Sami Zayn's eyes and find out where his loyalty lies. And he tells the wise man to bring him Sami Zayn. So then we get AJ Styles versus Finn Balor. I have to say, Damien Priest, his hair looked really good out there. I wonder what kind of hair, what kind of shampoo and conditioner he's using, because it looked really good. Now, at first, I was disappointed that we did not get an 8-person tag match. But honestly, after seeing this match, that 8-person tag match was not necessary, honestly. So this is AJ Styles and Finn Balor's second match since TLC way back in 2017, which is a match that Finn Balor actually won. Now, that match wasn't even supposed to be AJ Styles versus Finn Balor. It was a last-minute match thrown together because I think Bray Wyatt was out with an illness, and he was originally supposed to face the Sister Abigail persona. Thank God that didn't happen. But that match did not disappoint. I actually enjoyed that match. And I think I liked this match a little bit better. So Michael Cole gave us a little history on the Bullet Club on commentary if anybody was paying attention. So, of course, the OC was at ringside. Mia Yim was not there because, they just had the women's war game match, and neither was Rhea Ripley. But yet, Damian Priest and Dominik Mysterio came out with Finn Balor. So, of course, Damian Priest causes a distraction, and Dominik takes out AJ Styles. Styles sends Dom into the crowd, and a brawl breaks out between the OC and the rest of Judgment Day. AJ Styles kept targeting Finn Balor's leg, and not only did he target his leg, he also targeted his lower back, because at one point, Finn Balor's lower back was red. He did a backbreaker. He also did 2 calf crushers. At one point, both men went down, and AJ Styles was victorious after he hit the phenomenal forearm to Finn Balor. So now they're 1-1. If there's a rubber match, I definitely would not mind it, because I want to see who comes out on top between AJ Styles and Finn Balor if there's a third match. It was a much well-needed win for AJ Styles, who has not won a pay-per-view match since 2019, I believe. So he really needed this win. And a loss does not hurt Finn Balor. I mean, Judgment Day has been on a roll since Triple H took over creative. And I did not mind a loss. It really did not. But now I'm curious to see where we go from here. What's going to happen with AJ Styles and the OC? And what's going to happen with Judgment Day? Is this feud going to continue? Are we going to end up getting that 8-person tag match? I want to know what happens next. So then we have the WWE SmackDown Women's Championship match. It is Ronda Rousey versus Shotzi. And this was my least favorite match of the night. This was not the match I was looking forward to. The only cool spot, I guess, in this match was when Shotzi did the crossbody to Shayna Baszler and they took down some fans, which I think were plants. This match was predictable. I knew Ronda Rousey was going to win by submission. Shotzi, to me, was not a serious threat to Ronda. I honestly would not have minded if this was on a kickoff show or a pre-show match. This was really the weakest match of the entire night. Then we get a Sami Zayn segment, which I talked about at the beginning. Again, I'll recap it for you guys. So this whole segment was Roman Reigns asking Sami Zayn why he lied to Jey Uso. And Sami was just saying that he lied to Jey Uso because, or withheld information, as Sami put it, because he didn't want to put that on Jey's plate before the match. And Sami Zayn admits that he did talk to KO, but he just stood there and listened. KO was the one doing all the talking. And Roman makes it pretty clear he wants Sami Zayn to know this is his blood. And Sami says that it means the world to him that he is one of 5 people that can walk into that locker room. So Roman tells Sami Zayn to get up. He smiles. He hugs Sami, but then he makes a face, kind of indicating that he does not trust Sami Zayn. So then we get the WWE United States Championship match. It's a triple threat. It's Seth freaking Rollins versus Austin Theory versus Bobby Lashley. And it's so funny how, like, at the beginning of this match, you had Lashley sending Theory to the outside, then Rollins made sure Theory stayed on the outside. One of my favorite spots in this match was that double hurt lock where Bobby Lashley put the hurt lock on both Austin Theory and Seth Rollins. I also like the spot where Bobby Lashley put a hurt lock on Seth Rollins and Austin Theory had a sleeper on him. I have to say, the finish to this match was pretty surprising. I was not expecting this finish to play out. So what ended up happening was that we had Seth Rollins, first off, he used Austin Theory to stomp Bobby Lashley. Then afterwards, he did a superplex to Austin Theory. And then he was about to attempt a Falcon Arrow. But Lashley ended up spearing Seth Rollins. And Theory landed on Seth Rollins. And so Austin Theory was victorious here. And that was an unexpected finish. And you could tell the crowd did not agree with that finish. They were not happy with that at all. I think everybody was expecting Seth Rollins to retain. And honestly, I didn't mind this finish. It was a surprising finish. I think it would have been kind of predictable if Seth Rollins won this, which I wouldn't have mind because it was a great match. But damn, this finish took me by surprise. And it's so crazy that Austin Theory won this, especially after everybody was talking about how he was buried because of that horrible failed cash-in and that he looked stupid cashing in his Money in the Bank on the U.S. title, considering the fact that it was an open challenge. But I think this totally made up for it. This was a really good match. This was probably my favorite match of the night. But now it's like Austin Theory, by a miracle, because of Bobby Lashley, I guess you can say, he ended up winning the United States title. So then we get a quick backstage segment with Jey Uso and Roman Reigns. And Jey asked Roman if Sami lied to him too. Roman says that he looked Zayn into the eyes and saw everything he needed to see. The main event, the men's WarGames match. It is the Bloodline versus the Brawling Brutes, Drew McIntyre and Kevin Owens. Now, the Brawling Brutes, Drew McIntyre and Kevin Owens have the advantage going into this match because Jey Uso lost his match. And there was so much story going on in this match, and I was so curious to see how this story was going to play out. Was the fighting between Jey and Sami Zayn going to inadvertently cost the Bloodline their match? Was Sami Zayn going to get the victory for the Bloodline and Jey was going to do all the work? There were so many questions that needed to be answered, not to mention the entire night they had those backstage segments with the Bloodline. Well, with Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, and Sami Zayn. So going into this match, did Roman trust Sami? It was so much storyline going on, and it did not disappoint. So Butch starts the match off for his team, and it is his 4th WarGame match. I really like that the Bloodline as a team are wearing black and red, except Roman, who's wearing black. So Dakota at one point stares at the opposite team, and Jey starts the match off for his team. So like there's this moment where like Jey is kind of like stalling with Butch. Then after Butch went after Jay, he did the joint manipulation that he usually does. He sent poor Jey Uso into the cage. Jay firing back to Butch with that neck breaker. Then Ridge Holland entered the match. He shoulder tackled Jay. Jay was double teamed by Ridge Holland and Butch. And so here's where things get interesting. Jimmy was about to enter to go save his brother. But Roman stopped Jimmy and he sent Sami to enter instead. And Sami looked kind of confused. He looked like, okay, like, what's he gonna do? And he's slowly walking to the ring and the crowd is chanting for Sami Uso. And surprisingly, Jay and Sami work together, but that does not last too long as they start arguing during the match, which allows Ridge Holland to take them down. Then, of course, Sami tries to show Jay that he is loyal to the Bloodline and he saves him from Ridge Holland. Then Drew McIntyre enters this match and Jay and Sami working together again to go after Drew McIntyre. And Drew sends poor Jey Uso into the cage twice. He throws Sami Zayn belly to belly. He hits a spine buster to Jay, and this is all Drew McIntyre is doing. Then he says that he's feeling pretty oozy right now. And again, Sami saves Jay from Drew McIntyre, who's trying to show Jay that he can trust him. And before Jimmy enters the match, he brings in 3 tables. But once again, Sami and Jey Uso argue and they start shoving each other, and Jimmy tries to get them to stop because they have to work together to win this match. Now the Usos end up sending Drew McIntyre into the cage. Butch also gets sent into the cage. And McIntyre takes down Sami Zayn. And so then Kevin Owens is entering the match, but before he does, he brings in chairs. And he just starts hitting the Usos with chairs. He does a cannonball to Jay in the corner, and then he follows that up with a swanton from the top rope. And then there's this moment where Sami Zayn and KO, they have this face-to-face moment where they're just staring at each other, but it doesn't last long because Ridge Holland goes after Sami Zayn. Drew McIntyre showing off his strength by doing a vertical suplex to Sami Zayn. KO puts Jimmy Uso through a table. Then Solo Sikoa enters this match. He gives Butch a clothesline and then sends him into the cage. And he hits a Samoan drop to Ridge Holland. There is this one spot where Solo and Kevin Owens have a face-to-face before they go at it. And then Kevin Owens super kicks Solo. And then Solo gets up and he hits a backdrop to KO on the steel. Then, of course, the moment that Drew McIntyre was waiting for, he and Solo Sikoa go at it. And all men end up down. Sheamus is the last person on his team to enter the match. And just before he enters, he has a moment with Roman Reigns. If you guys remember Survivor Series 2015, Sheamus cashed in his Money in the Bank on Roman Reigns. Now, Sami tried to stop Sheamus from entering the match by shutting the door, but that didn't last very long. So the Brawling Brutes, they have Jimmy, Jay, and Sami Zayn pinned to the cage. Sheamus hits a white noise from the second rope to Solo Sikoa. And of course, I think we all knew this was going to happen. Roman Reigns enters the match last. That's not a surprise there. I don't think anybody expected Roman to enter first, second, third, or fourth. He was entering this last. And as he enters, he helps Jay up. Jimmy helps Sami Zayn. And then all 10 men are standing. You have the Bloodline standing up on their side. You have the Brawling Brutes, Drew McIntyre, and Kevin Owens standing up on their side. And then all men go at it. Roman just is in there giving uppercuts to everybody. Sheamus catches Roman with a kick as he attempted a spear. He attempts a 10 beats to the Baron on Roman. This is my favorite spot in this match. You have Ridge Holland on Jimmy Uso. You have Kevin Owens to Solo Sikoa. Drew McIntyre to Sami Zayn, and Sheamus to Romans, all doing the 10 beats to the Baron, which I thought was so hilarious. That was probably my favorite spot in this whole match. So Drew McIntyre and Sheamus double team Roman, which was a rare sight if you ask me, because I don't think anybody's double team Roman like that in a while. Sheamus gives Roman a knee. You got a bro kick to solo by Sheamus, who then gets speared by Roman. Then Sami Zayn goes after Butch in front of Roman. Now, this might be a little suspicious. So Jay was aiming for a super kick to Butch, who ducked and got out of the way. And he caught Sami Zayn with that super kick. Intentional? Who knows? But Jay, he hit Sami with a super kick. The Usos do a 1D to Butch. They should have done that on the table. And then the Usos do a double super kick to Rich Holland, who then gets speared through a table by Roman Reigns. You have Solo Sikoa doing a spinning solo to Drew McIntyre through a table, a stunner to solo by Kevin Owens. Then Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns have a face-to-face. And you guys remember their feud from like 2 years ago. So KO is looking for blood in this one. He wants revenge from that feud. I also like Kevin Owens. He's slapping Roman. He slapped Roman during this match. Roman slaps him back, and this just leads to back and forth slaps. Roman, of course, gives a Superman punch to KO's chin. This is where things get interesting. KO super kicks Roman, and he follows it up with a pop-up powerbomb. And it looked like they were going to win. But of course, the main storyline going into this match was, where does Sami Zayn's loyalty lie? Where does it lie? Was it his best friend, Kevin Owens, or was it with the Bloodline? Sami Zayn stops the referee from counting the pin. He stops him. And him and Kevin Owens have this moment where they're just looking at each other. And Kevin is shouting, "This is your family?" Now, Jey Uso was about to hit him with the super kick. KO caught it. Sami gives Kevin Owens a low blow. And he has another moment with Kevin Owens. He hits Kevin Owens with a haluva kick. And KO just lands on Sami. And then he sacrifices Kevin Owens, I should say, to Jey Uso, who hits Kevin Owens with the splash. And he pins him. And Sami Zayn is just standing there. And he does not look happy with what he just did. And the Bloodline ends up victorious in this match. And the whole time where the Bloodline is celebrating, Sami Zayn just looked totally conflicted. He looked conflicted. Like, he kept looking at KO. Now, surprise, surprise, Jey Uso hugged Sami Zayn. He hugged him. So now Jey finally trusts Sami. Well, I would assume he would. Jimmy hugs Sami. No surprise there. And Roman hugs Sami. But again, while the Bloodline is celebrating, Sami Zayn is looking back at KO. And he does not look happy about his decision. So if you ask me, that was great storytelling. This match didn't need big high spots. It really didn't. What this match was supposed to do was further the storyline between Sami Zayn and the Bloodline. And it did just that. And Sami Zayn played his role perfectly. This match was, in terms of storyline, the storytelling, amazing. Amazing, top to bottom. But overall, the pay-per-view itself was not bad. 5 matches, I give it a 9 out of 10 because Ronda versus Shotzi to me was the weakest match of this whole pay-per-view. Honestly, if I had to pick a WarGames match, I'd go with the men's just because of this amazing story that they are telling with the Bloodline and Sami Zayn. And Kevin Owens tried to warn Sami that the Bloodline's gonna turn on them. And again, the Elimination Chamber is in Sami Zayn's hometown of Montreal, Quebec. So is that where the Bloodline is going to turn on Sami? I guess we just gotta wait and see. This is honestly a really amazing storyline, and that betrayal is going to hurt. It's going to hurt, and it's going to turn Sami Zayn into the biggest babyface on planet Earth. That being said, thank you guys all so much for watching. For the continuous support, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell so you get notified whenever I go live or release a new video, and I'll see you guys Monday, hopefully live after Raw. Bye.